together and everything. Almost, it was, quote, actually, I'll quote it here, almost like it had a consciousness, unquote.
How far into this guy's video were you able to make it?
I watched it all the way through.
Did you?
Wow.
I did.
You have a better constitution than I do.
Or me.
I couldn't do it.
I think I got maybe like a minute and a half.
I tried to skip it. It didn't help.
I
Yeah.
felt like I had to get all the way through, but
I feel like you try to skip on videos like this, and then you have to go back. You're like,
It makes it worse. It takes longer.
you might as well just sit down and suffer through it.
it's kind of like porn,
Yeah, of course.
where you like skip ahead and you're like, well, now I have to go back and understand why they're doing that action that they're doing.
Because it's the script just doesn't make sense.
Well, I mean,
the dialogue just doesn't line up
Usually
now.
when I'm doing porn,
sometimes you
I'd say
do.
stuff like, wow, that doesn't look very comfortable.
right?
Yeah. That looks kind of unnatural. But anyway, back to our thing. Okay, another YouTuber, a guy named Snakebit McGee, watched
Good name.
the entire... Yeah, that's kind of a cool name. He watched the entire video and commented on it. And here is what he had to say. Steve, would you mind reading this?
Should I do this in my David Duchovny voice?
No, please just do it in your regular
Dana
voice.
Scully voice.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, regular voice.
This ain't nothing. I'm a long-distance hiker. One time during one of my hikes out by Nellis Air Force Base, I found a hidden cave. The entrance of the cave was shaped like a perfect capital M. I always enter every cave I find, but as I began to enter this particular cave, my whole body began to vibrate. The closer I got to the cave entrance, the worse the vibrating became. Suddenly, I became very scared and hightailed it out of there. That was one of the strangest things that ever happened to me.
All right, thanks, Steve. And so that's from Snakebit McGee, who, of course, was none other than Kenny Veach.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, yeah. And his comment got some unkind replies from some skeptical people out there, as you can
You mean on
imagine.
YouTube?
Surprise.
Yeah, believe it or not, on the
People were
internet.
not nice on
People
YouTube?
were rude
What?
to him. Yeah, they were. They made fun of him. And there were some other things here. Like he said one time, I'm going to go back. This is actually, I got some of this stuff off of Reddit, because it turns out the original video, they disabled the comments.
have,
and so
unfortunately.
so they're
Yeah.
out there that snagged them and did.
And also, we have
like
the
that.
like Wayback Machine.
I was about to say,
Yeah.
I
crazy
didn't even
how
think
full.
about going in the Wayback Machine to look at
Well,
this.
sometimes I don't know if YouTube is one of them because I guess I just haven't checked recently. But there are a lot of sites, the bigger name sites, that disable the Wayback Machine.
Oh, do they?
Which I ran into recently with one of our cases where it was just kind of like you couldn't even crawl.
lame.
Bastards.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Anyway, but
But you got
Reddit.
screen caps.
I got some screen caps here. These are some Reddit users. This was obviously, as you can imagine, was discussed intensely on Reddit.
Of course.
Yeah, sometime in late 2014, he after some taunting, he commented again. I'm going to edit this a little bit, but he commented, Kenny Snakebit said, I am going back. I will film what I saw. I can't say it will be interesting. Maybe it's just a strange-looking cave that has a mountain lion living in it. Should be sometime this week. I will have my 9mm with me this time, just in case. Last time I was unarmed. And very dangerous terrain. The mountain is located right next to a bombing range. I have found some giant empty rounds of ammo before. And he goes on a little bit like that, and then ends it up. I hope it turns out to be something crazy. That would be so cool. And yeah, I like
That
it.
sounds a lot like Kenny.
Yeah.
It does sound like Kenny, doesn't it? Kenny, by the way, when he left on his final foray to the MK, he was 47, but he had a kind of a
He did
youthful.
not seem 47.
No, he had a youthful enthusiasm about him. I thought
He really didn't look like he was 47.
He didn't look or speak or act like he was 47.
He acted like a 20-something-year-old
Yeah, like
dude.
a mid-20s.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. He was young at heart. There's no doubt. I shouldn't say was. He was/is young
maybe,
at heart, because we don't know what happened to Kenny, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then after he went out in early October, I think, because he wanted to go out and find this cave again and prove these people wrong. He wanted to film it, document it, everything.
Because the internet is taunting him, and the best thing to do when the internet taunts you is to show the internet it's wrong.
Yeah, and so as per his comments that I just read some excerpts from, he did indeed go back. He went sometime early October 2014. Took his video camera with him like he said he would, and he posted a video of this trip on October 17th, 2014. Let's play a clip from the video so you can all hear Kenny speak for himself.
And I'm looking for a cave that I found, and I didn't have a sidearm when I was here before, and something about that cave just spooked me. Out of all the caves I've ever gone in, this one just made my body vibrate. The closer I got to it, the crazier my body felt, and I was like, all right, I'm not going to go in there right now, but I'm coming back someday. And I talked to some people on YouTube, and I told them, hey, I'm coming out here, you know, because they kind of called my hand on it. So I don't know if there's going to be anything to it, but it might be interesting. If I can find it, I got to relocate it, and this is a big mountain range I'm in. And I'm on foot, you know, my truck's way out there. There's no roads, there's no trails. It's a pretty rough terrain. So hopefully I'll find it. It's shaped like a big M. It's a big cave that looks just like a gigantic M. And it's about as tall as I am and kind of narrow. And it's stuck on the side of a mountain. So I hope I can find it again. And if I do, I'm going in there. I'm going to put on my light and take my gun out and walk in there, see if I find anything. We'll see.
Okay, that's Kenny. And yeah.
I just would encourage, I know a lot of people listen on their commutes or whatever, but if you have the ability to go out and watch
the MK video,
any of these videos, or even just parts of it, I mean, I know I presume we're going to post those links on our website.
Oh, for sure.
Thingysidewayspodcast.com. But, I mean, like, he's not just using a cell phone camera, and he's clearly not.
It's an old school camera.
I think he is using like an old school like handheld like cam.
Well, I don't think
it's on a tripod.
He had a tripod, but I don't think it's one of those enormous ones that had a VHS tape.
I don't think so either. But it's not just a handheld camera, because at the very end of that video, he zooms into the antelope or
it's a bighorn sheep.
Yeah, bighorn sheep, and then he zooms back out, and you're like, oh my!
He's got a good.
He's got a great camera.
He had a good camera there, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily like a GoPro just strapped to his head, which you would kind of
see a lot.
You would now.
No,
definitely.
It was not an iPhone.
It wasn't, like or it wasn't an iPhone on a selfie stick, as some of the cameras that
the follow-up searches are.
Yeah, no, it's a decent quality one. Like that zooming in on the sheep was pretty good.
That was a really good zoom.
Something that has got actual glass lens in it to be able to do that. That's not digital magnification.
And this is 2014, so it's 4 years ago.
And that's funny too. You know, the YouTube video got well over 10,000 comments. I read hundreds and hundreds, maybe a few thousand of them. I don't know, but
at the time of this recording,
I did not get all the way through.
At the time of this recording, it was over 800,000 views.
Yeah.
Well, on its way to 1 million views.
Oh, yeah. He was talking about the comments, so the comment section is just peppered.
It's huge, and but as you know, there's that one point. It's kind of near the end where he spots the bighorn sheep way up in the cliffs, and he zooms real close in and tight.
Yeah, he's got it really tight in there.
And then the sheep sort of looks at him because he's talking, so the sheep probably hears him, you know. So the sheep looks at him, and Kenny actually says, "Oh, he's looking at us. I think he must hear me talking." And then there's at least a couple of guys in the comments said, "It's so creepy when that sheep looks at him like that."
I think it is very interesting though, because you see, he goes, "Oh, he's looking right at me. I guess I'll zoom out." And he zooms out, and he like kind of like halfway through the zoom, you're like, okay, well that's where Kenny's at, and then it just keeps zooming back out, and you're like, oh God, how did he even see that first of all, and then how did he zoom in so well that it looked like it was just as in focus as everything else? But
that's been a decent quality camera.
It's probably not that important to the
No, it very much feels like though you see a lot of stuff like was Adventure Time where it's they pan back and the pan just keeps going. Suddenly it's halfway across the universe kind of pan. Like that's what it feels like, because
that's a long lens.
It's like a Google satellite situation.
Exactly. Google Earth. That's what it
Google
feels
Earth.
Like. So Kenny zooms in on a sheep.
Yeah.
Okay. So did he have any other videos on his?
Actually,
account?
He did. He posted several other ones on the same day that he posted this. So that one up like a month and a half before this one. His offer has a special twist.
What is Kenny's twist?
Okay, well, let's listen to Kenny's own words.
Now, this house is only approximately just under 4 years old. It's beautiful in every way. It's perfect and clean, and there's not a spot anywhere on any of the walls. And I'm putting this house up for sale along with me. I'm offering myself along with the house. So that's the niche, that's the unusual thing right there. So by the time this video is finished, you will know exactly what I'm offering, what I'm talking about, And hopefully you'll have fun watching the video, and we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Didn't he have a girlfriend?
I'm not sure exactly how.
He wasn't selling the house and him as some kind of personal dirty slave. He's your maintenance guy. He's upkeeping. He maintains the house for you.
I think essentially what he wanted to do was have somebody pay him a bunch of money for the house, but he gets to keep living there.
Yeah,
sure. We've done some stories about people who've had that kind of situation before, I think.
Yeah, and so.
Just quickly, how many total videos did Kenny post on this account?
Not that many, like 5. I think it was like 5. There was the selling the house one, the MK one, and there were 3 where he was apparently trying to get on this TV show Shark Tank. Yeah, and so he was showing off some of his cool inventions, like he had an improved toilet paper holder, and he had a glow in the dark
glow-in-the bear,
the glow in the dark polar bear figurine, and
all 3 of those are really well titled too. They're like Shark Tank submission.
I know.
Super cool, unique thing.
You've watched the Glow Bear, right?
No, that was the only one I didn't.
I did not watch that one.
I couldn't.
Is it good?
My good God, I couldn't resist watching the Glow Bear, and he has some brass to him because I took this tin that I found and he put glow-in-the-dark sticker letters on it and snowflake stickers, and then he hand sewed this terrible polar bear
amalgam thing. Yeah.
He's like, and this is my hand pattern that I drew, and it's just this like weird, sketchy thing. And then eventually at the end of the video, he shows it up close, and it looks nothing like a polar bear. It's so creepy.
It's not a polar bear. It's a glower bear.
The thing about Kenny, and I think we'll kind of get that as we get on with the story, is that like, he was a ballsy dude.
He was.
He was a cowboy.
He really wanted to represent himself as a maverick cowboy adventurer. I know we kind of like, I don't know where in your script this is, but when he would go out on these treks, he would like deprive himself.
Oh yeah, for sure. He would take very little water or food.
And almost no food. And
go on these like 12 mile, 10-hour hikes. Like over rough country and stuff.
That I think that was kind of like part of his persona, was this kind of like tough guy, cowboy. I can survive with anything.
Crazy, brave, willing to take chances. And speaking of which, there's another video out there that was posted by his now ex-girlfriend of Kenny playing with a rattlesnake.
Oh,
that's a
God.
classic. You guys have both seen that, I'm assuming.
Oh, is that how he gave himself his YouTube handle?
That's how he got his name. Apparently he's been bit a couple of times by rattlesnakes because, that's what happens when you mess with them.
Yeah.
Okay,
they will bite you.
They will.
And the thing that's like painful is I really, really like snakes.
Yeah.
My significant other and like everybody else in my life aside, I am super pro snakes and having snakes in my life and as pets and whatever. And so it's kind of frustrating to see videos like this where it's just like,
he's kind of manhandling the snake.
It is.
And then when he decides to put the snake down, he does it in the worst possible way. Yeah. Well, he did it in a way that I don't know if he thought it'd be safer that way, but it was really, what he does is I would have just taken it and sort of like just chucked it a few feet away from me, low to the ground.
Throw it. Yeah.
I wouldn't have thrown it far or hard.
The proper way to release a snake is you hold it by the tail, because they can't coil all the way back up themselves, and then there's a little bit of a wiggle shake so they straighten out, and then when you set them down, and you set them down head first and then let the rest of the body go, and they immediately go forward. Yeah. They might turn and coil and get ready to strike back, but you're already too far away.
And by that time,
that is not what he does.
By that time, no, what he does is he walks over far, far away and then throws it up into this tree.
Yeah.
But he doesn't actually get it to land in the tree.
Well, no,
but also rattlesnakes don't live in trees.
No, they don't. It's like he throws it up in the tree, and the poor snake bounces off some branches and then falls, and it bounces off some more branches and eventually hits the ground with a thud.
Yeah.
It's like, felt kind of bad for the snake.
And then he's like, I wonder if it's okay. He starts going back forward.
No, that rattlesnake, is pissed off.
Yeah.
You go
and it's going to hurt you. But that's what it
was unkind, but also, and I don't think Kenny was a cruel guy.
I just think
kind of clueless.
He was unaware in that regard.
Well, the thing about it too is that if he tossed it up and it hit a particularly springy branch and bounced off the tree and back onto him.
Right onto him.
That very well
Done.
could have happened.
Yeah.
So it was just,
Yeah.
so Kenny sounded to me like a fun, great guy, a lot of energy, but sometimes occasionally lacking a little bit in judgment.
I would agree.
Okay, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, and I think as we've already sort of touched on, it could be said he marched to his own drummer. Mm-hmm. And he wanted to do something bigger, than what he was doing. He had had a job for years, and he quit the job.
Like most of us.
Yeah, and he quit his job about mid-2013, apparently. And he was just looking around for some new big thing. He wanted to do something creative that he could make a living, but without having to punch a clock or have a boss.
Like most of us.
A lot of us want that.
Yeah.
And he hadn't found that. Things weren't working out for him. Obviously, he was trying. We had all those Shark Tank things that weren't really getting him anywhere.
Did you watch all of the Shark Tank things?
No, not all of them. Just some excerpts from a few of them.
They were all bad.
Well,
They were none of them were good.
There's a reason that they just sat on this unattended YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they were. What did he had? The redneck whistle. Did you? The redneck whistle.
And he had a weird knife thing too, right?
Well, yeah. Well, there was the spinning thing. He had a stick with a hole that he had drilled through it by hand with a bullet casing in the tip.
Yeah.
Somehow he turned it. It was
not good.
So weird.
Yeah.
So weird.
Yeah, and so. I think Kenny really wanted to be creative, but maybe he wasn't quite as creative as he thought he was. I don't know, but
he also had a girlfriend?
He had a girlfriend. Her name was Sherian. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, but probably not. Sherian Pilgrim. Mm-hmm. And she actually has had a few things to say about this whole thing, like, for example, the state of his finances by about this time when he posted that video on YouTube. Said he was running out of money. He'd been living off of his retirement funds, and money was running out. And he was getting really worried about finances and depressed about the future.
Yeah.
She's the one that you can hear in the rattlesnake video.
Yeah, she's the one that was holding the camera.
And there's videos, I don't know, I don't remember it as a video, but there's a still of Kenny hanging through like an old gold mining chute.
It looks like a chute of some sort, yeah.
And then she's in the chute next to him. They're old, dilapidated ruins is not the word I.
Yeah, but it's like the ghost town kind of derelict
but she's in
building.
the one next to him, and they're still in that way. That's one of the few images of her that I've seen, if it's truly her.
Yeah, I believe it is, but it's hard to say. She's a little bit of she's a
enigmatic,
a little elusive on the internet.
Yeah, there's something about her.
Yeah, a little bit.
At least her presence on the internet.
Yeah, and maybe she just doesn't want to have that much to do with the internet. But she did post that video that had a lot of stills. It was like kind of a montage of stills of Kenny
that's where that's where it came from.
Yeah, and so that was posted like last year or the year before, but a couple of years after he disappeared. But anyway, this kind of gives you the background of our story. Okay, he was out of work and a little worried about money. He'd had this dust up on YouTube. He'd been out and been out there to the sheep range. I didn't know if I mentioned that's where the cave is, the sheep range northwest of Vegas. Mm-hmm. And he had posted his video. He wanted to go back out. Okay, so I'm going to talk about first the video. And if you're curious to see exactly where this took place, of course you are, then let me tell you. It begins with Kenny standing next to an abandoned mine shaft. The coordinates, if you want to really know exactly where it is, are you ready? 36.554747 by negative 115.288660. So there you go.
Yeah.
You can pinpoint that on the map.
You can.
Actually, yes.
Yes, you can, pretty precisely. And if you look at this, if you look at this on a map, zoom out a little bit, you see that this area is actually just east of the Nellis Air Force Range, as I mentioned before. Which has provoked some speculation on the interwebs about maybe what happened to Kenny, like maybe the military was or is dumping dead alien bodies in the sheep range, or toxic waste, perhaps. I know that in the video, Kenny kind of zooms in. He goes to the top of this mine, which is a vertical shaft, and zooms down to the bottom. There's an old wooden ladder, a couple of ladders actually, going all the way down, quite a ways.
Yeah.
And he didn't try to climb down, which is one area where he showed a little sense, because I'm sure those ladders are rotten and wouldn't support him. But there at the very bottom, you see an old rusty metal drum.
Yeah.
And of course, that provokes some people to say, "Well, I wonder if the military put some toxic waste down there."
And I will say these videos triggered my ASMR. Like, whoa, because it's. I mean, he's just like walking through